Hey, not much, man. I've been staying pretty busy lately. But guys, a cheap plug. Make sure you check out my YouTube channel, Travis P11. Got lots of content on there. I'll be releasing a new video pretty much every week indefinitely. And make sure you guys like and subscribe to everybody on the panel this evening. So thanks for the invite, man. Appreciate it.
Hey, John, thanks for having me in. I can't believe you fell for it twice. Nighthawk Medic Shoots is our channel. We're on full30.com and youtube.com. Come on over. We've got new content, actually editing it right now. So I'm excited to hear what's going on. Thanks again. Like and subscribe to everybody here, gang.
Now, if I unmute, can you hear me twice? Am I getting feedback? Because I thought I could be unmuted on the chamber, but muted on the StreamYard, and that might not happen. But now am I getting picked up twice? Let me know. So we'll see what happens. In the meantime, Nighthawk, again, thanks for joining us. Glad you're here. Next up, if everybody can hear me or if you're hearing me twice, I need to know. But you're only going to hear this guy one time, should be. So we've got Riding Shotgun with Charlie. What's up, sir?
What is happening? Thanks for inviting me to come to this. It's great to be on a panel with John and talk about his book tonight. I'm excited about that.
Absolutely. Yep. And if it wasn't for you, I wouldn't know John, and I wouldn't have gotten a chance to peruse this book. So thank you very much for making that connection. I sure do appreciate it. Charlie knows a lot of cool people from a lot of cool places. He's about as handy as a pocket on a shirt, I've said before. So yeah, glad you're here. I know you can't stay too long, but I'm glad that you're here for now.
Okay, thanks.
Again, out there in the chat, I just want to know if I sound okay or not. I know you can hear me now, but do I sound okay? So let's see what's going on. All right. So while they're commenting, Pat Hirsch is in the house again. Thanks for joining us, Pat. What's going on?
Not much tonight. Just glad to be on. Definitely got some questions tonight. I have not had a chance to read the book yet, but definitely excited about this tonight. So, and a little shameless plug, dropped my first video last night. So, has to do with zombie guns. So just kind of a funny little video starting out. So yeah, glad to be on tonight.
Excellent. All right. People are saying that they couldn't see me. It was staying on the guests. So we'll see what happens here. We'll go to the Brady Bunch look, and whoever's talking apparently gets highlighted with a little blue square. So you'll still know who it is that is talking. And again, before I go to my last panelist, apparently you couldn't hear me when I started. So it is the Get Off My Lawn podcast. Welcome, everybody. Working through some technical difficulties because I'm trying something new. I'm actually using StreamYard, but I'm screen sharing a Chrome tab with the chamber on it so that everybody could be on the chamber, and we can still support guntube.org and help out our buddy Night Strike and use the chamber, but still go to Facebook and YouTube at the same time while my trial month of paid service on StreamYard is still going. So that's what happened. I thought that it would get bad audio if I was unmuted both ways, but it turns out it's the only audio. So anyway, that's what's happening. And yeah, thanks, Defense Dad out there in the chat. Shut up. I guess we're just going to skip the last panelist. We're not even going to introduce Defense Dad because he's getting rowdy out there in the chat. So no, Defense Dad, what's going on besides you getting lippy?
I was getting typey technically, but well, yeah, thanks for having me tonight. just I've been having some fun this week, killing some zombies and putting some videos out, but that's about it.
Don't make me come down there and whoop your butt. I'm not just saying that because I'm bigger than you are either. So, all right. So enough of the hijinks. Let's introduce our guest of honor tonight. Up there now on the view that you guys have in the top left corner, we've got Mr. John Petrolino the third. We're just going to call him John tonight. But he has written a book, and it is called, let me see if I can get this in the camera here, Decoding Firearms, an easy to read guide on general gun safety and use. Okay. You can get this on Amazon, and I did post a link to that at the top of the chat there on YouTube. In fact, I think I will just post it again. That way it goes out to Facebook as well. And that should be right there. All right, so then it goes to both places. So you can check that out on Amazon. You can get the hard copy like I got. Whoop. Wow, talk about rude. Hold on. When you get so excited that you're throwing stuff around, you know it's a good read, okay? I'm just saying. You can get the hard copy that John sent to me. You can get the Kindle version there on Amazon as well. So if you like to turn the digital pages, you can do that. But I tell you what, I read this whole book, or at least I skimmed some of it. Even if you've been around guns your whole life, this is a cool book to have. If you've never been around guns, this is going to tell you the stuff that you need to know, or at least most of the stuff that you need to know to get started. And if you've been around guns your whole life, then it's going to be a lot of recap, and that's never bad, especially on the safety end of it. And you might learn a few things about maybe some nomenclature, maybe some technical aspects of some of the different firearm actions or cartridges or anything like that. So first and foremost, John, before we get into the book, just tell us a little bit about you. Where are you from? Where are you now? And what has kind of been your journey throughout life as far as getting into firearms, and what brought you to where you are today?
Oh, John, it's a pleasure to be here with you today. So thank you very much for the invite. And also hat tip to Charlie. Thank you for connecting us all together as well. So I'm recording with you today live from my basement in New Jersey, in my little basement office. Born and raised in New Jersey, which, as you know, is not necessarily one of the more Second Amendment friendly states in the Union.
We've heard that, yes.
It's a bit of an uphill battle down here or over here, depending on where you are, right? And I was introduced to firearms fairly young, involved in shooting sports with my dad and scouts and hunting and things like that. And you fast forward to kind of adulthood, went to college. I went to Massachusetts Maritime Academy. I have a marine engineering degree, bachelor's of science. So I ship out. I'm a professional merchant marine. That's my day job.
Wow.
While I was in college, I was on the rifle team for one of the seasons. That was kind of cool. And then, like I said, fast forward to adult life, and I got into handguns pretty heavy, doing a lot of shooting, and then I started to do some training. And I wish I had done more training before I did shooting, but we all learn from our mistakes. But I got into some training and started taking a lot of classes and just really got hooked on the shooting sports. And of course, I like shotgun shooting a lot as well. And one of the classes I was taking was a first steps pistols class with a friend. And we're going through the class. It wasn't my first class that I had taken, but regardless, I was taking the class with him. And by the end of the class, he was shooting in the dirt. And I said to myself, there's got to be a better way to do this. And that kind of inspired me to go and become an instructor. After taking that class, I said, well, I think I can do this a little bit better. And subsequent to that, after years of my own experience, I did go shooting with that guy again, and he's on paper, so that's good. That's kind of the short story of my genesis here. And
very cool. Very cool. All right. So, how long ago did you decide that it was time to write Decoding Firearms?
Okay, so that's a great question. And Decoding Firearms wasn't something that I just woke up and said, I'm going to write a book and I need to do this. A number of years ago, maybe 2, I guess, I had written my own class. And for those of you that are familiar with some of the classes that are out there with some of the organizations, there's been some changes. And one of the classes that used to get offered got cut, and I saw a void. So I decided to write my own class. And the whole thing was, it's a class that's supposed to be you can get done in 3 hours. And it's a get you up and started, get the safety rules out of the way, have an understanding and proficiency with that, and then firearm handling and use, and just go through the basics of the basics, just to give somebody a taste so that they're comfortable enough to maybe rent a firearm, or if they bought a firearm, use that gun or go out and buy one or whatever. So I had written this class. There was kind of a void in the training market, and I used that class to help train some people joining the local gun club. While I was writing that class, I was also working on another book, helping edit it. And as I was doing that, it was all fine and dandy. I'm just doing the editing, so I'm not the talent there. And I said, there's a couple of things that I would have added to the book or done differently, but this wasn't my gig, it was his. And that's kind of when it all came together. I was working on the class, working on the book, and then I said, I got the class done. I kind of need my own materials to go with it. So I said, well, maybe I'll put something together and have some class materials that we could use when teaching students. And next thing you know, I've got a 266-page book with over 115 illustrations. Wasn't supposed to be this way. I was kind of thinking like for lack of a better term, a pamphlet or a biblet that I could give to students just to have them review when they get home. And by the time I got everything laid out, we are 266 pages and 15 chapters, and that's basically the birth of the book, was from this class that I had written.
That's very cool. Now, I don't know if I can do this. I'm going to try to not throw your book again, but if we can just kind of hold this up and just kind of flip through it here, you can see I know we were complaining earlier, there's not enough pictures, but there's a ton of pictures. We did some, we were commenting a little bit on stuff before we went live tonight, but there's just a ton of pictures in here, and they are black and white, but they're very, very easy to see. I like the way that you not only describe things. So if there were no pictures, there's still a pretty good mental image of what exactly it is that you're describing. And maybe that's easier for me because I've seen it before. So maybe that was, in my case, maybe it was a little bit easier to form that mental image. But then with the pictures, there's some of the different pictures of the parts of a firearm or the parts of a cartridge. They're labeled. There's arrows going to each part. This thing is broken down to where, again, it doesn't matter if you've never touched a firearm in your life, you can pick this book up and you can get started and learn some of the. And I'm not going to say you're going to learn everything you need to know, but you're going to learn the basics from this book. It's really, really cool. What's really handy, if you have been around guns for a long time, but maybe you've got friends or relatives who haven't, and because a lot of us have that person that comes up to us and says, hey, I know you've been shooting a long time. Can you teach me how to shoot? And not all of us are instructors. So not all of us have been taught how to teach, right? But if you've got this book, Decoding Firearms, you can actually kind of just fall back on that. You can have them read it if you want to, but you can even learn from that how to explain, the basic rules of gun safety, all that kind of stuff. The way that basic firearms are manipulated, and then you can use the right nomenclature from the start. Maybe you didn't know it, maybe you do, but you can do all that. And so so it's such a great book, and the way that you've done this is you've written a book for beginners that isn't boring for those of us that have been around it. And that's I think a very rare quality, that you can write a book that actually has something that can appeal to people from all skill levels. So that's really, really awesome. So this just got published this year, right? It hasn't been out for very long.
No, it's back in June. I think June 1st was the live date. So
okay,
we're just rolling around 2 months here now.
That is awesome. So far, I mean, I know you sent one to me and I haven't paid you for it, but so I'm not a good example, but are the sales taken off? Is the book growing legs?
I feel it is. It's difficult because everything is kind of grassroots.
Mm-hmm.
So you're looking at the marketing team and the talents, if you want to call it talent. You're looking at the marketing team, the CEO, everything, the whole 9 yards. And sales are moving pretty well. And I'll get upticks in sales and whatnot, and just continue to push it. And, I feel good about the direction it's going. Definitely. So,
Good deal. And I mean, I'm looking at this, on Amazon. This is not an expensive book. The paperback version is only $15.95. If you're a Prime member, which I am, that's all you pay. Free delivery. You've got to pay sales tax if that's what your state does. The Kindle version right now, $9.99. If you get the electronic version of this book, $10 to learn what you need to know as a new gun owner, or what you need to know to talk to new gun owners, because we're big on that, especially lately. I mean, we've got how many million new gun owners in our country in the last few months. And I know that every NICS check doesn't equate to a new gun owner or a gun sale, but just from anecdotes and a little bit of research that I've seen from a few places, I mean, we've got millions of new gun owning Americans now, new law-abiding, background check passing citizens, right, Charlie? And so this is something that it's indispensable. I have not seen another book that is like this one, and I haven't really been looking at it. There may be other resources out there, but I'd venture a guess there's not going to be one that's any better. And I'm not just saying that because you're a guest on my podcast tonight. I mean, it really is really well written, and I want to do everything that I can do in my power to help raise awareness and help be part of your marketing team, at least for a night here. The cool thing is this is going to stay on YouTube and stay on Facebook as long as they allow us to stay on here. It's going to gunstreamer.com probably by the morning. So, I mean, there's lots of places that people can find this podcast and rewatch it. And I know I keep saying I'm going to get this on places wherever podcasts are sold or listened to where you can listen to this without the video and stuff too. I just got to figure out how to do it and get it done. So if anybody knows how to get this up to Stitcher and SoundCloud and Apple and Android and all that kind of stuff, then reach out to me and help me out, because I'm not that technical. But I do want to get that going, and I want to get the word out no matter what we're talking about every week, but especially for John. This is a really great book. And I really want you to be able to get this out to everybody that needs it. So that's what we want to do, and that's why we're here tonight. Is because this is definitely worth spreading the news, worth sharing. So with that being said, we're just going to let our panelists, if you guys have any questions or comments, it can be about the book. We're just going to put John on the spot here. Be nice. Don't be too crazy, because he didn't know we were going to have a panel full of people. But at the same time, we're going to let everybody just kind of sound off a little bit, ask any questions. It can be about, being a gun owner or an instructor in the state of New Jersey, because again, we know that that's one of the worst states to be a gun owner right now. But we're going to start with Charlie, because I know that you don't have as much time as some of the others tonight. So go ahead and grill your friend for us, would you?
I'm not going to grill my friend.
Oh, I mean, go ahead and say hi.
Ask a couple of questions. Well, first I want to say the other book that John was working on, I did read, and John, I feel like I'm just returning the favor by having John on here with John. John Petrolino set me up with the author of Gun Sense, which is the other book that he edited, I guess is the right word for it. And he said, hey, you need to get in touch with this guy. This guy's in Massachusetts. So I had him on the show back in January. So I'm just returning the favor, man. Just making, pushing it all forward and passing the buck, but pushing it forward.
That's awesome.
I think it's a great book. I haven't read all of it. I have flipped through all of it. I have read a little bits here and there. There really is a lot of really good information in here. You do pick up the nomenclature. You do pick up the things that we call things, the buttons and the levers and all this sort of stuff. And I think it's a great book, man. I've really enjoyed having it and checking it out and reading it. That's not grilling.
No, that's not grilling. Well, while you're doing that, I'm just going to go ahead and put up some of the pictures.
Show some pictures, right?
And I mean, we've got great close-ups. We've got the different parts of different firearms. I know here later on. Where's the one I just saw? Different kinds of sight pictures. So I mean, there's just all kinds of cool stuff in here.
I don't know if John's going to say this, but I will say if you spend the $10 on the digital book, then I believe the pictures are in color.
Really? Well,
Yeah.
That's even better.
Yeah.
That's even better.
So, yep. The Kindle version is all in color, so you can get that way as well. Not that the black and white takes away from the book, because I feel it really doesn't, but there is something about color illustrations that make it pop. And so, Charlie, you are correct. The Kindle version is in color.
That's awesome. So what you're saying is if the pictures are in color, then even the people down in Webster County, Nebraska will actually be able to see this and understand what's going on. So that's really nice. Speaking of Webster County, Nebraska, Pat, do you have anything that you want to yell at me for saying that? We'll go ahead and give you a chance to ask any questions you want to ask. And I'm sorry for that cheap shot. I kid.
Shots fired. Yeah, actually, I wanted to ask: was there any one certain instance or situation or something that inspired you to actually make this book and put it out? Because it almost kind of reminds me of our hunter safety course that I took years and years ago back in high school, but way hyped up from what everybody's talking about the book. So I was just kind of wondering that if there was any certain instance or somebody came to you and said, hey, you should do a book or what.
Pat, yeah. So back to what I was saying earlier, the book was kind of born from a class that I wrote, so I was working off of that material. And I can't say there was one specific instance that said, I got to get this on pages. However, if you do get into the book, I do try to keep it conversational, and I do throw anecdotes throughout it where I guess those are kind of some aha moments that's experience in teaching, and then also experience with other gun owners and different issues they may have had, or positive things or negative things. And the main thing about the book is I try to just teach a way, not necessarily the way. It's a way to do all of these things. So leaving open the fact that there's plenty of other instructors out there with different methodologies, and all of that has a place in the world for the most part, and it's what works for you. But there was no specific giant defining moment other than, I was working on the book, like Charlie had said. I worked on Gun Sense and wrote the class that I wrote, and it all kind of just said, hey, you know what? It's time for me to have my own thing.
And I really liked the part in there where you said that, go and check out other instructors and check out more than one instructor, because any instructor that says to go train with other instructors, I mean, that's the mark in my mind of a good instructor. If you get that person that says, hey, there's two ways, there's my way and then there's the wrong way, you should run screaming from that class. That is not going to be a good class because that is not an open-minded individual. There are some things that we don't want to be open-minded about, safety, things like that. You know, there's no room for fooling around. But at the same time, again, when it comes to grip and stance and things like that, there are things that work for one person that don't necessarily work for the next. Some people will have, you know, arthritis or some other physical impairment. Sometimes body shape makes a difference as far as stance goes and things like that. Those of us that are men of girth that have ever swung a golf club, it's different than when you're young and a little bit more fit. And then later on in life, when you've got to kind of swing around that belly, you learn how to change things up with a golf club or a softball or baseball bat or anything like that. Again, what works for one person, that's not always going to work for everybody. And John even addresses that in the book, and that's really, really cool. So that's great. Let's move over to Defense Dad and give you a chance for any questions or comments.
Well, I mean, I've not had a chance to read the book, so I can't speak too much to the book. But what you just mentioned is, that's refreshing. That from what it mentions, you know, different techniques, different work differently for different body types. Because, like me, for example, I'm a pretty big guy. I have to line up on my sights a little bit different than people in better shape because I can have if I don't hold my head one way, I can have a perfect sight picture and miss the sight completely or miss the target completely. So, and people don't tend to understand that. So if you cover that kind of stuff, that's awesome.
Right. Yeah. No, I definitely leave open there that there's plenty of room to change. And one of the instances, I think even John was talking about, the arthritic guy is what I call him in the book. You know, I was working with a student and just going over the basics of stance and grip and things like that. And we got everything done, and I see him leaning a certain way in the way he was standing. And I says, why are you standing like that? You know, what's going on here? And he's like, well, I have arthritis real bad in these different joints. So it hurts when I stand that way. He's like, if I stand like this, I feel good. I says, well, that's perfect. If you feel stable and, you know, you feel good that way, that's what's important. You need comfort and stability is what's going to make this thing work, especially since this gentleman uses his firearm for self-defense settings. So he, you know, he adjusted, he adapted, and, you know, that's good. And just like John was referencing, gentlemen of different girths and whatnot, you know, we all have our challenges to work around. And, you know, the book talks to some of those things and basically saying, here's your guideline, here's your baseline, but you've got to do what works for you. And that's what's really important. And, you know, hat tip to arthritic guy, you know, he definitely brought it and, you know, was able to really deliver once he was comfortable. So, and that's what's important. And in the process, stay safe. So the safety aspect is also paramount, you know. And
that is a huge recurring theme throughout the book. And it if it wasn't so important, I would say it's almost ad nauseum. But it's not, because it is such an important thing. But all through the book, safety gets referenced. The 4 rules get referenced. The different versions of the 4 rules get listed. Everything in the book the whole book was written to keep people safe, right? I mean, that's ultimately what it comes down to. Is we're going to start off with the rules of gun safety. Then we're going to talk about the parts of the gun and how to stay safe when you're manipulating it. Then we're going to talk about some ammunition and how to stay safe when you load that ammunition into the firearm and go to fire it. And everything is built around keeping everyone at the range from having any more holes put in them than they had when they got there. And that's really what it comes down to. So the safety thing is every chapter in the book has got something about safety. Go back and re-reference it because it is that important. And I'm never going to get tired of somebody going over the safety rules. You go to a new range, you're going to probably have to watch a safety video anyway before you can, you know, be a member of that range or go shoot there. You know, there's a reason for that. Even if you've been shooting your whole life, if you think that you know everything and that you're, you know, too good, too busy, too whatever to go back over the safety rules, then you're unsafe. It really comes down to that. So we all know them, but even the best, even the most seasoned shooters, even instructors sometimes forget and break the safety rules and don't realize that they did it. And so safety is no accident, I like to say. And there's nothing so important as that, especially if you're not the only one out there on the range. And if you are the only one out there on the range and there's nobody else around, then safety is paramount there too, because you don't have anybody to go for help or call for help or help you put on a tourniquet, anything like that, if one would ever be needed. So everything is kind of geared around that. That's really cool. Let's move over to Nighthawk and give you a chance to have any comments or questions.
So first of all, let me say, I am so glad to see a book about range safety. Most of the time when I'm shooting, my wife is behind the camera. So you become just absolutely a gun safety advocate when the most valuable thing on earth to you is over there where, you know, you do not want to put a round. So I'm glad to hear such a heavy emphasis on it. I've got a question for you. You know, when I started my channel, I started it not to review guns for people who'd been shooting for 16 years. I started it to help pick firearms for people who've never picked up a firearm and used a firearm before. So those of us who've been shooting for 20 years have purchased bad and we've purchased good firearms and we've kind of taken that in stride. But a lot of times mom and pop, who you write this book for, they buy that firearm, they put it on their bedside table for 6 to 8 months, and they never shoot it. And the first time, God love them, that they might have to pick it up and use it is in a situation that's a nightmare, right? And so I'm so glad to see books like this. On the flip side of that, when I started my channel, people said to me, you're teaching the enemy how to be smarter about guns. So I had a lot of FUDs coming to me and saying, don't do that. Don't teach them terminology. So have you gotten any of that pushback through your book?
Luckily, no. There's been none of that pushback yet, and it's funny that you brought that up because there were some fleeting thoughts about different areas in the book and different topics, and I'm not going to bring them up, but there's some stuff in there as I'm sitting there typing and writing, I'm like, somebody's going to say something about that, and they're going to have an issue with it, and oh well, and I just finished doing my thing. And if somebody wanted to challenge me on something in there that they didn't like, I'm more than happy to discuss it. But so far, I have not gotten any of the FUDs coming out of the woodwork to chastise me. And there actually is a definition in the back of the book in the appendix for FUD. I don't know if we can pull that up on the screen there, John. Do you have it? Andy?
Which is that in Appendix A?
Yeah. Here we go. So for those of you who don't know what a FUD is, it's a sportsman, usually a hunter or shotgun shooter, that has no regard for Second Amendment related issues, has the attitude that they and their sports are safe because no one's coming for their shotgun or hunting rifle, exhibits a general disdain for firearms enthusiasts, and would use fictional terms such as assault rifle, has no interest in the advancement of rights, and can even lean on the side of gun control zealots. So that's kind of my take on the FUD. So luckily, I haven't had any pushback from FUDs yet.
I don't know how easy that is to read on the screen, but there it is. Going back a little bit to the range rules and things like that too, I just wanted to point out in Appendix C here in the book, there are 4 different sets of examples of possible sets of range rules. And I'm guessing those are rules from 4 different ranges that you've been to. But at the same time, I mean, it even lets you know that if you've never been to a gun range before, this book tells you what to expect. And it can be intimidating. The first time I ever went to an indoor range was just a couple years ago. I'd never been to an indoor range. I'd never been to a range, period, that wasn't somebody's yard or a pasture or something like that. I'd never been to any place that had an RSO or rules up until that point. And then even for me, it was a little intimidating to make sure that I do know my safety rules and I do get it right. And I don't flag anybody and I don't do anything unsafe and I don't endanger anybody. So if you're brand new, I can't imagine how intimidating it would be to go into a gun range full of people, and you'd feel like, just completely like a fish out of water in a situation like that, I would assume. And so John even tells you what to expect. And one of the best parts about what to expect is when he's talking about the RSO. And what that means is range safety officer. Every range has one if it's an actual organized range, indoor or outdoor. Sometimes the outdoor ones may not have one on hand. The indoor ranges, I don't think ever are ever open without an RSO close by. If you have any questions, if you need any help, anything like that, the range safety officer is your friend. They are not there to bust you. They are not there to yell at you. They're not a hall monitor. Okay. They are there to make sure that everybody goes home again with the same number of holes in their body that they walked in with. Okay. So they're going to make sure that nobody does anything unsafe. But if you have questions, if there's anything you're not sure about, they're not there to laugh at you. They're not there to belittle you or berate you. They're there to help. They're there to give you the best experience possible so that you have fun and want to come back. And keep that in mind, that person that's standing back off to the rear or whatever, observing, they're just there to make sure that everybody follows the rules and that everybody has a great time and that everybody not only wants to come back, but has the capacity to come back. And so that is your go-to person if you don't know things. Don't be afraid of that range safety officer, because he or she really is there to be your friend and be everybody's friend and keep everybody safe. So it's a serious job, but shooting is still fun. Shooting is serious, but shooting is fun. Guns are cool. Okay. I think it was this morning, Charlie. I think I was listening to today's episode and you were talking to Argo J. And he was talking about being a kid, and growing up with cap guns and things like that, and growing up as a kid in Milwaukee, guns were cool. And I'm thinking, dude, that's like a video I need to make. Guns are cool. And we walk around sometimes as gun owners, and especially as advocates, we kind of pussyfoot around the fact that guns are cool, right? Like, well, my gun is a tool. My gun is, I've got this one in case, my house gets broken into. I've got this one in case I'm out and about and somebody decides that they want to hurt me or rob me or whatever. I've got this one so I can hunt. I've got this one so I can shoot 3-gun. I've got this one so I can do this and this one so I can do that. And like, we always justify the reasons that we have these guns, right? Some of them are just because they're cool. Or some of the ones that are on my want list are because they're cool, not because I need them, but because they're cool. It's okay. It's okay to think guns are cool. It's okay to think shooting is fun. It's serious. The safety side is serious, but the shooting is, pardon the pun, the shooting is a blast. And more people need to find that part out. And this book is a way to get people interested in it. And so that they don't feel completely, just foreign to the subject or just completely new. So I just wanted to point that out, that I think guns are cool. And I think everybody in this panel thinks guns are cool. And probably everybody listening to my voice right now thinks guns are cool. And if you don't think guns are cool and you're listening to my voice, then please email me at sandhillsshooter@gmail.com and let me know why you don't think guns are cool. Because it would thrill me to find out somebody's listening to my voice right now that doesn't think guns are cool. But I want to know about it so we can talk about this. But I mean, it's just, that's why we're all here. That's why the Sandhills Shooter channel exists in the first place, because I thought guns were cool. Plus I have a camera and a microphone, a big mouth, and the internet. So here we are. Yeah, that's awesome. Before I go over to Travis, I've got a question that Sandhills Sweetheart mentioned out there in the chat. G23 wanted to know, is there an audio book, or are there at least plans in the future possibly for an audio version?
Right now, there is no audio book, but I've gotten several queries about there being an audio book, and I'm actually looking to produce one myself. I haven't seriously started to look because now that's a whole different art form and it's a whole different thing. The publishing thing to me came very natural, very easy. Been doing this for a lot of years. The audio end of things, I've had nothing but complications with technology as far as that goes. And to bring somebody in as a professional narrator could be kind of cost prohibitive. But hey, listen, anybody out there that knows about making audiobooks, zap me a line. I would love to hear from you. And if you want to collaborate, I'm all ears for sure.
Now, just for the record, I don't know anything about making audiobooks or any of that but if there's an audition for somebody to come in and narrate that, I would love to just be able to narrate that and read that in the voice that I'm using right now.
9 out of 10 people choose those from the Great Plains for their narrations.
That's true. Our accent matches everybody's.
And I'll do it in Spanish. I'll do it in Spanish.
Oh, you get Travis to do the.
Yes, I'll do the SAP translation.
That's
of it.
right.
Wait, you're saying that rednecks don't get to do audiobooks? I don't get it.
Well, okay, at the risk of going down a rabbit hole here, those of you that are familiar with Jeff Foxworthy, which if you don't know who that is, then what hole did you grow up in? But he's been saying for years that the Southern accent, you could be, super smart person, but if you have a Southern accent, people just assume you're dumb. So I don't know if that's true or not, but I may or may not be guilty of subscribing to that stereotype. But I know that
oh man, there goes your subs,
here's the thing though. if it was true, Iowa, so. If it was true, then they wouldn't control space launches from Houston, and they wouldn't train these people in Alabama. I'm just saying. So
I'm saying you get Morgan Freeman to
that'd be so cool.
You'll have a New York Times bestseller even, and like non-demand action will be lining up to get it for you.
That would be awesome. I don't know if Morgan Freeman is pro gun. You might have to go with Isaiah Washington instead. He's got a cool voice too to listen to. All right, so moving back onto track here. Travis, we have not given you a chance yet to comment or have any questions, so we'll give you that chance right now.
Yeah, I've got a compliment, comment, and then a question, and then I do have to bail after that. I apologize. It's school night. But anyway, the comment I want to make is John, I want to thank you for writing this book. I've got a family member who is she's widowed, and she got her first firearm this summer, and we've trained her to use it a little bit, but you always feel like there's more you want to say, but you can't always think of it. So I actually just bought her a copy of this book about 10 minutes ago, and it's being sent to her, and she'll have it on Saturday. And so thank you for writing that book. I think it really helps out a lot of us that have family members that are new to firearms, and you don't want to intimidate them. You don't want to make them feel like they don't know what they're doing. You want to try to, I think it's going to be a good thing for her because it's going to kind of fill in the stuff maybe we didn't cover this summer. Second question is, you kind of already answered it. From the publishing end, did you get some cold shoulders from some larger publishers because it is gun-related content? Is that kind of a common practice, just like what we see with how our YouTube videos get shared or don't get shared and how the media demonizes guns? Did you get a bit of a cold shoulder from larger publishers?
I didn't even shop larger publishers. I went with 100% POD. It's all on my shoulders. So I didn't even try. Because again, going back to the genesis of this project, I was thinking I was throwing together a pamphlet. I wasn't really thinking I was going to have a book, and but I do. So I had some experience in the past with publishing and publish on demand, and have helped numerous people bring some titles to light and some of my own work and other projects as well. So when it came time to do that, it was a no-brainer for me. I knew exactly what I was going to do, how I was going to do it, and if people love my book and it gets out there and it sells, and maybe Decoding Firearms, a closer look at handguns, the next volume might be picked up by somebody else. But for this title, I actually created my own publishing company, Forget Me Not Media LLC, and I'm kind of open for business.
There you go. Well,
Yeah.
I mean, it's a good time right now with just how many new gun owners we have out there in the market, and more people need to learn about this. So, but anyway, I want to thank you for answering that. And John, thanks for having me on tonight. I'm going to go ahead and jet, but you guys all take care and have a good night. Okay.
Yeah, thanks for joining us, Travis. Always great to have you here.
Yep. Thanks, man. Take care, guys.
Yeah, you betcha. All righty.
Since we've made it around, I'm actually gonna bus too. I've been up the last couple nights pretty late. Thanks for having me on. Thanks for inviting me, John. I'm really enjoying the book. I am working on it, man. I really am. And I'm looking forward to finishing it. There's a lot of good information. I really appreciate it. So congratulations on that. I'm glad to connect you two guys so you guys can be on the show. And it's nice to talk to you screen to screen, John.
Charlie, it's great seeing you, and we'll be in touch soon.
I can't wait, man. We'll talk to you guys later. Thanks, John.
All right, thanks, Charlie.
Bye-bye.
Too many Johns in the house. You guys can, to differentiate, you could be John. I'll just be Sandhills. That seems to work pretty well most of the time. So, all right. I haven't seen a whole lot of questions. I haven't really been looking too close because I've been trying to pay attention to actually what John has been saying tonight. Does anybody out there in the live chat have any questions? Let's check the Facebook side here. I got that going on my phone. It looks like Michael's out there and said, hey, Shane said the book's large enough to crush a pedo, so he'll buy one. So that's cool. Looks like one more book sale there. My friend Marty is watching. What's up, Marty? So yeah, does anybody have other questions? Vash has one out there. Vash wants to, and this sounds like an honest question. How can he reach out to you and talk about being a narrator and give you a voice audition? So what's the best way to reach you?
Okay. Yeah, the absolute best way to get in touch with me or find everything related to me would be go to my website, which is johnpetrolino.com. So it's www.johnpetrolino.com. And from the website there is a contact me page. You can get on there. And then there's also to my Instagram and my Twitter. And so if you want to DM me, you can DM me through Instagram and Twitter, and or you can email me directly through the webpage. And that's the best way to start communications. So the website's the place to go.
Very awesome. All right. So there you go. Go to John Petrolino. That's JohnPetrolino.com. And you can get the links to every place, email or social media or any of those places out there and contact him that way. So there's also in the back of the book, I believe you did list your email address as well, which I was about ready to look up when you messaged me tonight, and I hadn't sent you a message yet. So email address is jpetrolino III for John Petrolino III, right? So jpetrolino III at yahoo.com, right?
Right.
And people can email you there too.
Right. Absolutely. Yep.
I'm just going to throw that out there in the chat. While I'm typing, any of you other panelists, do you have anything else that you want to add to the discussion?
So, John, I'm sitting here thinking, boy, I'd love to see like a deeper work into like an intermediate and an advanced pistol training and things of that nature. There's been a lot of places around here offering intermediate and advanced pistol training classes. And the problem that they're struggling with getting participants is somebody gets their CCW permit and boy, they think they're ready to go now, right? And so, I typically will meet them at the range a few months later and discover that they can't engage a target and have a group bigger than about 14 inches at 7 meters. So ultimately, I think it'd be neat to see some advanced style stuff come out of you, especially if you're able to make a penny or two on this book. Something that those of us who've been shooting for 10, 20, 30 years might even take, and swallow our pride and read about.
Yeah, it. Oh, go ahead, John.
Oh, no, I was going to say I did when I was playing with the titles and the different ideas, and I went with the Decoding Firearms. It kind of just stuck with me, and then I saw the cover while I came up with the Decoding Firearms, and then the subtitle. I just played with that and got what I wanted, but I definitely went in the direction of this could be your one-on-one level book. And if this becomes successful enough, maybe we'll do a 200 level series, and maybe there will be a Decoding Firearms, a closer look at handguns for like a 200 level, and then if that does well, maybe a 300 level book. So I'm definitely open to all of that.
It's very cool. And I just want to put the book back up here on the screen again on my camera just to show you the cover. It's almost got a Matrix look to it with the ones and the zeros and the code there. So what did that just come to you, or did you decide to go with the ones and the zeros and the basic like that? Or did you use basic because you're starting with the basics? Was that just a happy coincidence?
So it is legit binary. So if somebody that wants to sit there and look at all the zeros and ones, granted they're all smushed together, not broken up in 8 bits, that is legit binary. So if you want to decipher the binary on the cover, there are words there. So you can do that on your own. But to your point, with it being kind of like the Matrix feel with the green and the computer code, absolutely. Zeros and ones are the most elemental version of computer talk. These are your bits. Your 8 bits make up a byte. That is your foundation. Our words right now are going through our computers or phones or whatever, and they are getting deciphered and brought down to zeros and ones. That's what we're dealing with. So that is your foundation. That is your DNA of, let's say, computers. And the whole concept of decoding firearms, like this is a code to crack, for some people, this is incredibly intimidating. And I want to help break that stereotype that this is something that you need to be afraid of. Definitely something that you want to respect. Firearms you have to respect, and that's why I put such a gigantic emphasis on safety and muzzle discipline and all of those things. And the intimidation factor, I'm hoping that the book can be used to kind of cut that edge for anybody that might be interested. I want this to be for everybody. This isn't for just gun enthusiasts. This isn't just for right-wing people. This is for everybody. I want gun safety to ring true with everyone, because like you said, we want to end our day with the same number of holes that we started it with. We all want to get back to our friends and our families after this safely. And that's very important with preserving our sports and our rights as well.
Absolutely. And to that point, this is also a book that if you know somebody who is against firearms, or maybe they're on the fence, they don't like guns, they don't think they're cool, but they don't hate them either. But if you want another great example to show that gun owners are all about the safe use and the safe handling of firearms, and we're not all just shooting things up and we don't have our guns to kill people and things like that. Again, this is a great resource just to show the mindset of the true American gun owner, not a gangster, not a criminal, but an actual real law-abiding, background check passing citizen who owns guns. We all care about the safety. We all care about a lot of this. And then towards the end of the book, you added a little bit of a section in there about Second Amendment advocacy. So I want to talk a little bit about that and just kind of find out, clearly you are a Second Amendment advocate because you're an instructor and you wrote a book about the safe handling and safe usage of firearms. Have you taken that any other places besides the classroom and then writing this book? Do you go to rallies? Have you been asked to speak, and are you getting vocal? Things like that. I mean, I don't know what is available around New Jersey, and I don't know how safe that is for you as a person to be very vocal about it. So how does that work for you?
I was what we would call one of the many closet gun owners in New Jersey for a very long time. And I used to sign my emails when I would write into one of the podcasts that I listen to. It's Gun for Hire Radio. Any of your listeners out there would love this, Gun for Hire Radio by Anthony Calandro and Sandy Berardi. And I used to sign them off as Johnny P. And, you know, because I'm like, I don't want my name out there. You know, it was like a John Proctor moment. My name, you know, I live in New Jersey. And there's a lot of unfriendly people towards firearms in New Jersey. And I finally I ripped the Band-Aid off and I said, it is what it is. I am an advocate and that's the way it's going to be. So to get back to your questions, I've done plenty of writing also on Second Amendment issues and different things. Starting back, I think the first article that I wrote Second Amendment related was back in 2015. And we were in the process of trying to recall our Senate president, and we failed, whatever. But I wrote a pretty massive missive, an article on that back then, and that got published in AmmoLand. That was my first piece published. And Freddie Reel with AmmoLand, what a terrific guy, and he's got a great publication there. And so from there, I've written a couple of other pieces, and then now I've got maybe 20 plus pieces. I'm not really sure how many out there, and a lot of it is Second Amendment related stuff. So if you go actually to the website, my website, johnpetrolino.com, there is a section there where you can see some of the articles. My more recent article was one in Bearing Arms. Cam Edwards was kind enough to publish a piece that I wrote on dealing with a airsoft firearm, airsoft gun, which is a toy, really. Somebody unfortunately did get shot by a police officer because they were brandishing an airsoft firearm. And that was, I think, last month that just got published. So I do have all that work there. To your question about rallies, I've only made it to one rally. That was, I think, last year. And it was a great experience in Trenton. I really had a good time being there. And I got to also, what was cool was meet a lot of people that I knew from the internet. Mm-hmm. And this social media thing, like Facebook is, you know, you've got a lot of people doing this, you know, they're just looking through posts and all that nonsense. But social media is supposed to be connecting people. And here's proof positive of that. You and me got connected via social media through Charlie, mm-hmm. through a Facebook post, and then he brought us into a private chat, and he said, have fun, guys, you know. And I've connected with some tremendous people in the state of New Jersey and all over the country on Facebook. And this is firearms-related stuff. And going to the rally was great because I got out in my car in Trenton, and the first person that I saw was actually the vice president of CNJFO, the Coalition New Jersey Firearms Owners, is Rosie, David Rosenthal. He didn't know me, but I knew him from his advocacy work, and I knew him from Facebook, and I knew what he was doing. I said, hey, I know you're going where I'm going, so I'm going to follow you. And it was just such a great community of people to get together with. And like I said, just getting to put a face and a handshake with so many of these patriots that I've been chatting with for some of them for years online. So I only made it to the one rally in Trenton last year, but I definitely plan to continue to go as time permits. And that's the big thing, being able to make it to these things. And of course, now we have the COVID-19 thing that we're dealing with. So that's a whole other ball of wax. But no, the whole rally thing, like I'm on board, and I'm going to do them when I can. And I'm absolutely more than happy to speak at rallies. So if you're having a rally someplace and you want me to chat, I'll come out and talk at your rally if it's close enough, or if you're paying my airfare, I'm definitely there.
You're not just going to hop in the car and drive to Nebraska to join if we have one of ours over here. So
I mean, I might, you know, we could set something up. I'm open to anything. Listen, I like to listen what you have to say. So I might be getting in the car and, going to Nebraska. It might be cool.
Tell you what, man, you'll be welcome at my fire anytime, just so you know. You get out this direction and heck yeah, we'll go shooting. Or if you want to try your hand at deer hunting sometime, just get a hold of me and we'll make that happen during the deer season one of these years. Now, I just saw this question. Sarge, C4 Defense out there in the chat, wants to know where you are in New Jersey, because he's apparently trying to locate you based on the accent, I'm guessing. So I think that's what he's getting at there.
Okay. I'm in Central Jersey. I'm in Monmouth County, so I grew up in Red Bank, New Jersey. But my past is a little crazy. My mother was from Brooklyn. My father was from North Jersey and worked most of his life in Manhattan. And I went to school in Massachusetts, and I married a girl from Massachusetts. So I've got this crazy, melting pot, and maybe I'm just confused when I talk. Maybe that's what we're talking about here. But I'm in Central Jersey, and for people that want to say there's no such thing as Central Jersey, they are mistaken. There's a Central Jersey. It's not just North Jersey and South Jersey. There is a Central Jersey. So
it's good to know. I've never been that far east, but I'm starting to, again, digitally meet a lot of people from that part of the world too. So we need to have another, another rally in DC on the Capitol grounds. And maybe if we do that again, I can get there, because there's going to be people there that I'd like to meet. When you got out of your car in Trenton, I'm just going to venture a guess that when you said, "Hey, I know who you are, and you're going where I'm going, and I'm going to follow you," you didn't get the cold shoulder, did you? You didn't get shunned. You didn't get looked at like you were the gum on the bottom of his shoe or any of that. This community, and I like to say that the gun owning community and the 2A advocate community overlap, but they're different. They're separate communities. Some people are part of one and not the other. But both the gun owner and the 2A advocate communities are so welcoming. And it doesn't matter if you're talking to the VP or even the president of some of these lobby groups. Now, we're not going to get into the NRA and Wayne. We'll leave that for another night. But but for the most part, by and large, these state level and even some of the nationwide lobby groups, like FBC, GOA, when you're talking to the leaders of these organizations, they're not too good for you. Doesn't matter who you are. Doesn't matter if they know who you are or not. They're going to talk to you. And it's just such a neat example of just how welcoming people are, and the fact that the people that you and I might be a little bit nervous to talk to, because we've been seeing them and hearing them, even see them testify in court sometimes, for different cases, things like that. I mean, these are high profile people. If you follow 2A advocacy very much, they don't treat guys like you and me any different than the next group over's president. I mean, it's just so cool to be able to see the connections that can get made. And I mean, that's this community it's growing by leaps and bounds, and the networking and the connections that can be made, and just make friends, even if you don't have a podcast, even if you haven't written a book, even if you don't work in one of these lobby groups, just to make these connections and make these friends. And then if you get a chance later on to actually meet them face to face, it's so cool. Travis and I took a trip down to Tulsa a couple years ago and met up with a whole bunch of people that we had met through YouTube and through a website that is now, sadly, it's no longer going, but it was gunchannels.com. And we actually met up at the Wanamaker gun show, the world's biggest gun show, and just spent a whole weekend hanging out together. And it was really cool. It was a good time. It was great to actually shake hands with people that I only knew from a screen. And I look forward to doing that again with some, with with people like Charlie, with hopefully you yourself one day, and just a lot of other people that I've met since then, that you know, they know who I am, I know who they are. We've talked, we've been on, you know, podcasts together, or we've emailed, or we've texted back and forth, whatever, but never shaken their hand, never been in the same room with them before. So it's just so cool to be part of the community that, again, you know, I've got guys like Rob Pincus that I can text him and he'll answer me. And if he's not busy, he'll answer me right away because he's not too good for me. It's just really cool to see that there are still people that are nice and welcoming. And this is one of the best groups to get into. And I always say that. So, I've got one more question for you, and then we can kind of just start wrapping things up. I don't want to take too much of your time up tonight, John, but I do want to, it's not really putting you on the spot, but at the same time, it could be just a little bit. So be as candid as you want to be when you answer this question. But it wasn't that long ago that New Jersey's governor, and I can't think of his name now. What's your governor's name?
The current governor?
Yes.
Governor Free Stuff Murphy.
Okay, sure. Governor Murphy had been asked something about the Second Amendment. I don't remember exactly what it was. I'm going to have to paraphrase here, but he was issuing some sort of executive order. Somebody asked him how that could, you know, how he could do that without infringing upon New Jersey citizens' Second Amendment rights, and he said, "I don't know. The Constitution is above my pay grade." And I'm sure you heard that, right? This isn't news to you that he said that.
Right.
Now, the question that I have is, as a New Jersey resident, knowing full well that, and I'm not going to ask who you voted for, that's nobody's business but your own, so it does not matter. But knowing that you live in the state where that is the person who is the chief executive of the state, how does that make you feel as a New Jersey resident, and then just as a gun owner in general? How did that make you feel when you heard that?
First of all, I was not surprised. Our governor's got a disgusting level of hubris and is holier than thou in so many ways. So, first of all, I was not shocked to hear him say something as disgusting as the Bill of Rights is above my pay grade. And I guess other feelings like we've got such a Stockholm syndrome in New Jersey where we're so beaten down, and I feel disrespected by our legislature, our judicial system, and, you know, our executive branch. We definitely feel, and I can't speak for everyone, but they're conspired against most of the citizens and anything that has anything to do with freedom. And if you're following, and the whole COVID thing and everything, look, we've all got our views on this, but the gym that, I'm sure you've heard about the gym in Belmar, New Jersey, that was kind of rebelling against these orders. It got permanently shut down today. And here's the thing about that, and I haven't fact-checked this, but somebody that I know that was, I believe he was there, had posted the committee. Okay, so the town's leaders voted to revoke the gym's business license prior to comment from the public. Okay, so they were going to bring something up for a vote, and we're not going to open up the floor for comment. We can comment after we vote. And it's crazy. And I just had a conversation with someone this evening. They said, can they do that? I'm like, well, I guess they can. They did. Here's the thing. Trenton has done the same thing to gun owners on gun-related issues in the past. You could talk about it after the vote. I don't get it. And that is not the democratic republic that I feel that I was taught about when I was a kid. And all of the people that want to scream that we're a strict democracy and everything like that. And you know who those people are that say, hey, this is a democracy. And it is. It's a democratic republic and constitutional republic and all of that. But the people that are going to say that, democracy, where's the democracy in having legislators or lawmakers pass laws, pass resolutions, or close down businesses and make that vote prior to a commentary period from the public?
Mhm.
And that is what goes on in New Jersey all the time. And my message to everybody out there in all the other states, and you're in a free state, and there's plenty of free states and listeners that are in free states
Okay, go ahead.
out there in the country. I'm saying there's free states in the United States.
There are.
They're there. This issue with these big politics and the way things are happening, and this is stuff out of RICO cases. It really is. It's a conspiracy against the people. It's a cancer, and you better protect your rights, and you better help out some of these floundering states too. So if you, and anything from the advocacy side, if you come from a free state and you're a member of your local, your state NRA or gun club, your local advocacy group, so Gun Owners Action League in Massachusetts and ANJRPC here in New Jersey, and so on and so forth. If you support that group, consider adopting another state like California, Massachusetts, New York, New Jersey, Hawaii, Illinois. Am I leaving Connecticut, Rhode Island? Consider adopting one of these states and donating money to their causes. Because listen, you don't want the politics from New Jersey to escape from the Delaware River and come to your state. You don't want this.
We don't want that at all. I'm still curious to see what's going to happen in the state of Virginia after, everything that happened a year ago this fall. Last year, and I've been saying for a long time, and those of you in Virginia, you don't have to like what I'm going to say. You probably aren't going to like it if you're listening to me from Virginia, but and if the shoe fits, wear it. If not, and then I'm not talking to you, Virginians, but too many of you didn't go to vote. Virginia brought this upon themselves, what happened there, because not enough people came out and voted, and because they thought that they'd never lose their rights. Never happened here. This is one of the best states in the union for gun owners. So I'm not even worried. It'll never happen. They'll never pass these laws, except for you didn't do your duty as citizens, Virginians. You didn't go vote for the right candidates because you didn't vote at all. And the wrong candidates got the votes. And then your rights got trampled on. And then all of a sudden you got mad about it. A little bit too late, I thought. But at least Virginians did get mad. So good on you for that, Virginians. But now you've got to dig out of this hole. Now you've got to go back and vote in better candidates next time. And you've got to lie in this bed that you've made until that happens. And so once you lose rights, it is so hard to get them back. Once you lose ground in this fight, it's not impossible, but it is so difficult to retake that ground. It is an uphill battle all the way. So those of you in the other 49 states, just keep that in mind, that if you're thinking it'll never happen here, whether it's they'll never take away my rights or it's pointless, I'll never get them back. If enough people that think like you show up to vote, then you can make some ground. It's so important that you get out and that you vote in every election, whether or not it's a presidential year. It's so important to get out there and vote, because look what happened to our neighbors to the east or south, north, whatever direction they are from you. So that is super, super important to do. And one other thing that I want to mention, because I've heard this from a lot of people, not so much tonight. I don't think I've seen it out in the chat tonight, but I mean, you are definitely behind enemy lines as far as being a gun owner goes there in New Jersey. And one of the sentiments that you see from the keyboard commandos on social media is, well, why don't you just get out of there? Why don't you leave and move to a free state? Okay.
Yeah.
I'm sure you've heard that, and you probably are going to, you're thinking the same thing that I was about to say. So I'm just going to let you answer that. Why don't you get out of there, John? Why don't you move to a free state and just abandon the ship of New Jersey?
I could take like a page out of your book and say, this is my lawn,
Yep.
right? This is my lawn. So I should be able to do what I want on my lawn. Voting with your feet, right? Let's move out and I'll go someplace free. And it goes back to what I just said. This is a cancer. And if it happened in Virginia, it can happen anywhere.
Amen.
And some of the other places that you need to pay attention to. And here's the thing, people talk about like New Hampshire. And I think New Hampshire is a lovely state. It's a beautiful place. I've considered, buying a place in New Hampshire if I had the means. And it's the live free or die state, right? And they've got really great gun laws. They really do. They are. Here's the thing. The governor of New Hampshire has had to veto gun bills, okay? So the governor of the live free or die state has had to veto gun control laws. Just think for 1 second here. If you're living in a state where your governor is vetoing gun control laws, you are 1 or 2 election cycles away from the laws that were just vetoed to having them pass.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? And that's almost a damn near fact that will happen in your state, unless your state becomes completely woke.
It did happen in Illinois.
Okay.
It did happen in Illinois, and I'm not going to get into it too much here, but there are a lot of mom and pop gun shops that are no longer in business in the state of Illinois because that's exactly what happened. Whether or not you buy into the hype about Springfield and Rock River Arms, you can do a little bit of research as to why people like me don't care for those two companies. You can get the whole story or both sides of the story and make your own decisions. You form your own opinions. I will not tell people what to think. But here's what happened. They had a bill that was going to require extra security cameras, and I believe 90 days worth of digital footage to be kept for every FFL. And most of the mom and pop gun shops, the cameras were expensive enough, but also the storage, the way I understand it, 90 days worth of digital storage is cost prohibitive if you're a mom and pop. If you're not a big gun shop or a big whatever business, then the servers required to keep that video loop for 90 days are very, very expensive. Also, they were going to add basically a state level firearms license on top of the FFL that you have to renew. And it was going to cost, I don't remember how many thousands of dollars just to get that Illinois firearm license on top of the FFL that you already have to have in order to be a gun dealer. And so basically what happened was one thing led to another. Everybody hedged on the fact that the governor was going to veto it. Even if the legislature passed it, they were banking on the fact that the governor would veto it. Now, that's exactly what happened. And then the next governor took office. The bill was reintroduced. It passed. The governor signed it. And mom and pop stores are out of business in Illinois because they can't afford to buy all the required security equipment, camera footage equipment, and pay the licensing fees to stay in business. And so what you just talked about, John, it actually has happened. We've seen it happen where you can't rely on your governor to save your butt. If you're banking on the governor saving your butt, that only works until that governor has spent his or her amount of term limit time, and then the next governor comes in may or may not be as gun friendly or as freedom loving as that last one. So you just never know what's going to happen. And don't think that your legislators don't understand that. They do. Okay. We see it all the time on the federal level in Washington. But don't think that your state's any different.
Can I jump in here for a second?
Yes.
So when Virginia kicked off, I had just started becoming a content creator, and I suspended all of my content creation for almost 8 months to try to advocate for Virginia. I spent thousands of dollars of my own money sending people up there, and 4.8 million Virginians sat in sanctuary counties and cities and hid. They did not come out for the marches. They did not provide any brand of leadership or advocacy. We phoned 133 different sheriff's departments to attempt to have this man temporarily accosted for violating his oath of office, and they flat refused to even take action. So really, advocacy at this point is 100% in the hands of the people. And I don't care where you are, who you are, or what state you're in. If you're not out every single day talking to people as a part of your daily life about how critical this is, it's all lost. It is so far beyond, just as you guys are describing, it being an individual thing or even, this city supporting it. We have entire states where one city is voting them back to the Stone Age, is voting their Second Amendment rights out of existence. So we all must be grassroots at this point.
And we're not in a danger yet in Nebraska, but we're starting to see things happen in Lincoln and in Omaha, which if everybody in Lincoln and Omaha voted a certain way, the whole state would go that way because that's over half our population. And so we see the same things here. We see things like the city mayor and the city councils, I guess, in those towns doing things with COVID right now, doing things with gun laws right now, or recently, where the city is doing things, and we're not a state with preemption. Our state constitution doesn't preempt local laws. Maybe one day we'll get enough senators in our unicameral legislature to get preemption into place. That would be amazing, so that we just had one set of laws for the whole state. That would be great. Those states that have it, I envy those. But the thing is that, again, Nebraska is not a state that people think is an unfriendly state towards gun owners. And we're not yet, but we're not that friendly either. The president of our state level lobby group, Nebraska Firearm Owners Association, Patricia Harold, she's been on the podcast multiple times, and if you watch very much, you've probably seen her. She likes to say that as far as states go for gun rights, Nebraska's pretty purple, because we're kind of right in the middle in some of our laws. Some of them are great, some of them are not, and we've got more neighbors that do offer constitutional carry than neighbors that don't offer constitutional carry now at this point. We border 6 states. 4 of the 6 offer constitutional carry. Colorado and Iowa are the only 2 that don't, that we border. And so we're kind of like a little island here in the middle of in the center of the country that doesn't have the best gun laws. And it rubs me raw, the fact that I say, people say that or hear me say I'm from Nebraska, and they think, oh, you guys got it great out there. You're so much better than New Jersey, so much better than Maryland. I've got friends there. And that's true. But when you compare us to Kansas, Missouri, South Dakota, Wyoming, when you compare the gun laws, we're terrible still. So it can happen. You can lose, like I said, you can lose those rights, not overnight, but it feels like overnight, just in the course of a year. And if you're not doing your duty as a citizen to get out and vote, then you don't have anybody to complain to. You've got no gripe because you waived your right to gripe if you didn't vote. And that's ultimately what it comes down to. Sometimes I go out and vote just because I want to be able to complain for the next 4 years. But I don't feel like I've got a right to do so if I didn't vote. That casting that ballot is my complain for free card, I guess, the way that I can play that. So if anybody hears me complaining and says, well, did you vote? And I say, no, I didn't vote, then what grounds do I have to complain about it? I didn't do anything to make it better, did I? So yeah, absolutely. Okay, well, we've been rambling here. I've been rambling. It's been going on for just about an hour and a half now, and I think we're going to wrap things up. We'll give everybody a chance to go back through and give any final thoughts and any comments, and then any other final interaction you want to have with John. And we will let him go last and wrap up your final thoughts last, then John. So we'll just start with Defense Dad and let you give any final plugs that you want to give. I know you've got some new videos out. You want to tell us about those?
Sure. Yeah. Got a review of the G3C and the G2C. And then I put my zombie gun video out there. But just, thanks for having me. It was good to have John on here. I'm going to have to check that book out, to be honest with you, because I know some people could take advantage of it. I wish I'd had something like that when I got back into stuff.
Yeah, I'm saying, guys, I say guys, but all of you listening, regardless of how you identify for your gender, $15 for this book. For $15, you can have a tool that you can hand to somebody. If you don't know what to say to somebody about being a gun owner and why you're a gun owner and how that gun owners are not bloodthirsty criminals, for $15, hand them the book. Say, here, just go read this. Bring it back to me when you're done. And then we'll talk about, any questions that you have or comments that you have. You can do that. And you've even got a way to get a hold of the author and talk to the author about any questions or comments that you have about the book. So I don't know how it gets any better than that. $15, $10 if it's digital. Okay. And if you get the digital one, I've been told the pictures are in color, which is even cooler. So go check that thing out. And if you know people who are maybe thinking about guns, or if you know people who are maybe thinking they're not the best thing in the world, give them this book. Let them see that we're all about safety. We're all about using these things correctly. We're all about not goofing around with them. And anybody that is not part of our community. They really aren't. They're just a dumbhead. We could say a lot worse things, but that's all they are. If they're not all about safety first, then they're not part of the actual true gun owning community. They're just a dumbass that has a gun. So I'll go on record saying that. All right, Defense Dad, thanks for being here. Pat, we'll let you go ahead and round up your thoughts next.
Well, I just want to say thanks for having me on. And John, I think it's great that you put out this book, because my sister literally just moved from California to Texas to get away from all the crap that's going on out there. And she has a lot of friends out there that are now first-time gun owners in California that are hardcore Democrats that are just trying to protect themselves. So I am definitely going to buy a couple copies of this book, one for my nephew, one just to have in the house so I can give myself a refresher course every once in a while. And I'm definitely going to steer these people towards your book, just because it sounds like a good, basic, here it is, no BS kind of book. So I just want to thank you again for having me on, and thanks, John, for being on tonight.
Absolutely. Thanks for being here, Pat. All right, Nighthawk, you get to go next.
Hey, well, first of all, of course, thank you for having me on. This is an amazing experience every time, because you always introduce me to incredible people like John. John, hey, man, from the bottom of my heart, as a Second Amendment advocate and a First Amendment advocate, the fact that you were willing to put this on paper and not only put your reputation, but also, let's be honest for a minute, your life on the line in our modern world, man, massive, massive kudos and shout out to you. And I can tell you that when my book gets here, it's going to be on my channel. So you're going to get some free endorsement from me, especially if there's nothing crazy in it, like the word FUD or anything like that. And and it is kind of a wrap up. Nighthawk Medic Shoots is finishing the last of our backup pistol series. We actually have a video coming out. Will premiere after this. Thanks again, and guys and gals, have an amazing night.
Thanks for being here. All right, and the man of the hour, John, we're just going to let you, anything that you want to wrap up, anything that's been said. I know you've been able to follow along a little bit on the YouTube chat too. So if there's anything that I didn't bring attention to that you want to address, anything you want to wrap up with, and anything you want to ask us, you can have the floor.
Okay. Well, does Sandhill's sweetheart, does she have anything for us? in the chat there? Nothing else there? Facebook Live or YouTube? Nothing?
She hasn't passed me any other notes, so I think we're good there.
Okay, great. Well, really all I want to say is massive thank you to you, John, for having me today. This is huge. I really like your podcast. I like your work.
Thank
I've
you.
been following you. I've been following you ever since Charlie connected us way back, was a couple months ago now. And, I do like what you have going on here, and definitely want to extend a big thank you to all the people that helped me, put the book together. My wife, Sarah, was tremendous in editing the book and getting it going, and also dealing with me in these endeavors because she's been tremendous. Also a good friend of mine, Tom Ensley, who gave me a lot of editorial notes and help there. So massive thank you to those two individuals, as well as all my photographic models, because all the photographs and illustrations in the book, they're all original. I either took them myself or somebody took them for me. And really, I'd say 90% of the photographs in the book were ones that I took and edited and manipulated. So you're not looking at any stock photos from anywhere. So big thank you to my photographic models out there. And then also just to the organizations that I'm a member of, Coalition of New Jersey Firearms Owners. What a great group of guys and girls over there. They've been very tremendous in supporting me in my work, and just being a member of their group. And I do a little volunteering with them. They've been huge, and they've been great supporters. So if you're looking for a group to support that you want to adopt, the Coalition New Jersey Firearms Owners is definitely one, as well as the ANJRPC, the Association New Jersey Rifle Pistol Clubs. The people over there at ANJRPC have been huge, and Gun Owners Action League as well. So just a really big thank you to those organizations, and also to Charlie from Riding Shotgun with Charlie. He's been very great about promoting my work as well. Michael Zubik from Stop Gun Bans over there in Las Vegas. If you haven't connected with him, John, maybe connect with him. He's a cool guy. I think you would like him. And Anthony Calandro from Gun for Hire, the Woodland Pike Range, and Sandy Berardi of the Gun for Hire podcast. Awesome guys, really doing a great job helping me get the word out there about the book. So just a massive thank you to everyone. And if I'm forgetting anybody that is out there that's helped me, that's not my intention. There's just been so many people that have really been pivotal in getting this book promoted and out there and pushed. And so just massive thank you to everyone, and to my readers too, and my future readers. So, and of course, John, massive thank you to you.
You betcha. Hey, and I tell you what, I do the same thing for everybody. My list of people that I send a link to is just growing and growing every Tuesday night. And I just shotgun a link out to a bunch of people, and whoever makes it in the room makes it in the room. So if you want, I'll add you to the list. There's no obligation or expectation that you show up, regularly or anything like that. But if you want the links in your inbox, you can delete them. If you want to join in, you can join in. If you got stuff going on, no worries. But you're welcome back anytime. If you just want to kind of sit in on a panel. And sometimes I've got a topic that I want to get kind of a diverse group of panelists to weigh in on. So, you may be hearing from me quite a bit here in the future, just to, invitations to come on and talk about different things. So, absolutely has been a blast getting to know you through social media and getting to know you better tonight, here on the podcast. Was awesome being able to just go through the book again and just learn, refresh the stuff that I do know, learn the stuff that I didn't know some of it. So it's been great. I understand now, because I'm screen sharing the chamber through the StreamYard. I know that I'm backwards. My camera reverses, but this is what it looks like. Just hold that up to the mirror and you can see how the cover looks in real life. But go to Amazon.com, search Decoding Firearms, and you'll find this book. It's the one with the green basic code, 1s and 0s, on the front of it, in the background, behind the letters, and behind the picture of the Beretta there with a padlock on it. So go check that out. Again, it's $15. It's not too much to ask to get a book like this. get a couple of them if you want to share. I don't know if Stan is still out there in the chat or if he had to run, but Stan from SS Pawn is a regular. Travis P11 that was in here earlier. Stan used to be his go-to FFL because they're in the same town. And I think Travis still does a lot of stuff through Stan's shop out in Lexington, Nebraska. Stan, I don't know if you can hear me or not, but I'm just going to put a challenge out to you and to every gun shop owner and pawn shop owner, anybody who has an FFL where you've actually got a brick and mortar storefront where people come in and you've got a display spot. Buy a couple of these and just put them out on the counter and make them available for sale. Get these books out to people. Let people see it. Let people know this is here because, again, it's such a great tool to not only brush up for yourself, but, again, you can hand this to somebody and say, hey, here's what you need to know. If you know somebody, and most of us do know somebody who's just getting into guns now, or isn't into guns, but has just bought one and doesn't know where to go next, give them this book. And it's kind of a primer for wherever they're going to take their next step. Get this book in front of them and have them read it, and read it yourself first so that if they have questions about it, you'll know what they're talking about. And again, if there's anything that you don't know, reach out to somebody, reach out to John. He puts his contact info right there in the back of the book, in the back cover. So look that up and get this book out to people. Let's help get John's name out there and John's book out there because it is that good. It's worth it. Even though I didn't buy the thing, like I said, full disclosure, John sent this to me for free. But this is a book that I am willing to buy if I learn of anybody that I know of that's looking to get into guns. I'm going to lend them my copy. If I need to get another copy, if they don't give it back, I'm going to buy my own, so I've still got one. I'm not a paid shill, okay? I'm not giving this this endorsement just because he sent me the book. I'm giving this endorsement because I believe in the book. It's amazing, and you need to read it for yourself. So, having said all that, let's go to the list. And I know I didn't go through at the beginning of the night because I was in a little bit rattled after finding out nobody could hear me, and the night didn't start out right. So I'm glad we got that established, and everybody was able to hear what I was saying after the fact. So I didn't go through earlier and list off everybody that was in the live chat to begin with. But out there on the Facebook side, looks like we had Michael, we had Bobby, Shane was out there, Jim, Shane, another different Shane, Marty, Vanessa, Shelby, Chris, Jennifer. I see all of you out there. So thanks for joining us over on the Facebook side. And then on the YouTube side, if you didn't make a comment, we couldn't see you at all. So make sure you drop those comments in the live chat. And if you're watching on the replay, whether it's Facebook or YouTube, either one, just drop a comment. I want to know that you came by and you watched the video and what you thought about it. And if you've read the book or not, and if you're going to get the book, let us know all that stuff. So thank you very much, Defense Dad, Nighthawk Medic, Iron Horseman, Tim Foley, Aaron Mortensen, Riding Shotgun with Charlie, Justin Gibbons, M. Gabriel, Gizzard Gary, Grim 90, Agorizer, Keith Gregory, SS Pawn, Jason Stewart, New York Outcast, Emily L., Mike, G23, Vash Matrix, Patriot in the Dark, Keith Umstead. I don't think I've seen that name. Welcome, Keith. Richard Millwood, another new name that I haven't seen before. So welcome to you. Travis T, Philo, Blue Steel 44, The Poor Conservative, Ghost Tactical, Armament and Axes, Mystic Guns, C4 Defense, Vanessa Kitty. On behalf of everybody that was involved in the panel tonight, we had Travis P11 and Riding Shotgun with Charlie who had to jump out. We have Defense Dad, Pat Hirsch, Nighthawk Medic Shoots in the panel as well. On behalf of Sandhill Sweetheart and myself, and most definitely on behalf of John Petrolino III, the author of Decoding Firearms, go check that book out. Let us know what you think of it. Drop a comment below or send me an email, sandhillsshooter@gmail.com. And just let me know what you think of the book. And if you've forgotten everything I've told you and you need to know where to find it, Amazon.com, guys. It's not that hard. But if you need to know anything, get in touch with me and I will point you in the right direction. So on behalf of everybody involved, everybody on the panel, we love all of you for watching. We love all of you for making this what it is every Tuesday night. I'm going to be honest. I came home tonight and I was just completely beat, and not physically, just emotionally, mentally, just drained from work today. It was just nonstop people all day long. I never even got a chance to center myself. And I was thinking that if I didn't have a special guest, I would probably just called the chat off. But being able to talk about this, guys, it gets me going. It really does recharge me. Getting in touch with everybody, interacting with all of you, and knowing that you're out there, and just knowing that what we're doing here isn't just for ourselves, and that you guys care. Whether or not you come out and say that you like us or love us or whatever, I feel it. We love you back. God bless you. Thank you for joining us. Thank you for giving me what I needed to pick me up tonight and get me through the rest of my night. But now it's time. You guys know what's coming. Get off my lawn.